See.
Okay.
You're listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice,
and Jane. And to our audience, we are so sorry. We
you
haven't
know how I feel about
recorded.
apologizing.
I'm going to apologize because one, well, hold on. Let me just play this song. I had to.
I love it. It's
I had
perfect.
to, y'all.
Well
I had it
played,
all
sister.
queued up to the
Well
chorus
played.
because I've missed you, Janice.
I've missed you too. It's been a freaking month since
I
we've talked to
know.
each other, let alone bother to record anything. So, yes, on some level, we're low key here. No, no, I found the sweet spot. We're
Give your
sorry to
excuses.
Rose, we're sorry. Everybody
Rose.
else, you're welcome because we're back. So
Yeah.
there, it's a
Rose
sweet
is the
spot.
only one that missed us. Maybe
Rose is the
Jaw.
only one who missed us.
No, we have Jaw out there, and Jaw is one of my good friends.
You're right. Okay, Jaw,
And
sorry. Sorry
yeah,
to you,
and he's
Jaw. Sorry
actually
to you.
been diligently listening and watching our
I
videos.
love it.
And I apologized to him first, and then said, "Keep watching, and we'll have some more episodes for you."
We're back. We're back. We're back, you guys. This is real life, right? This is like we
It's real
don't
life.
have resources, we don't have producers, we don't have it's us. So sometimes the us can't do it, right? Like very quickly, and we'll elaborate on these things more in the next episode, but like I was with my grandbaby for 2 weeks in Orlando. We had a wedding. One of our daughters just got married, blah, blah, blah. Plus, oh, by the way, I have a day job. You, same thing. So much
Yep.
stuff going on. And so what we decided was we're just coming off of September, which of course is Suicide Prevention Month. And we really value the opportunity to weigh in on the conversation around mental health. So I think what we're going to do is like put a pause on some of the other million other things we want to talk about, right? And we're going to focus on that for this episode and kind of cover the gamut of from a parenting lens, from a personal lens, etc. And then we'll pick up right with
Yeah.
some of the other stuff next week. But for now, right,
Yeah.
what we're going to do, sister, is focus on you because you are in real time really modeling what it looks like to be somebody who tells everybody else to take care of their mental health and perhaps not take their own advice. Um,
I don't know about that.
and
I don't know about that.
now, okay, you're right. No, you do, but you took a bigger step of late
Yes,
because of some stuff going on. So, I want to, let's make the space for you to tell that story to some extent because I feel like our listeners, many of them who are women, middle-aged women just like us, who are carrying the
yes.
brunt of all the things, and it's really easy to convince ourselves that we are the problem because we just can't live up to what everybody else needs, whatever it is. Um, and so I love that we're going to change that narrative a little bit today, starting with you, friend.
Definitely,
Let's
definitely,
do it.
because I am definitely a woman that's I do everything, and that's kind of just, we've there's so many of us that do everything. There's so many
Yes.
of us that came from childhoods that, even the perfect ones, we come away with something, some type of little trauma or some type of little thing,
Yep.
or I don't know one person that's like, I had the perfect childhood and young adulthood, and everything has gone perfect for me every moment of my life. That just doesn't happen. And if it is, somebody is in the background taking care of a lot of stuff for you, so you're oblivious to what's really going on in the
Exactly.
world. Like,
That's the
no
key.
amount of money, no amount of love or anything is going to protect you from just being in the world. I mean,
Right. Well,
I'm
and honestly, if it does, an outcome that's not great, like to get to partly what you're saying, Jane, is then usually you have a lack of resiliency, right? Like the
exactly.
first time something comes that does trip you up, you don't
You're
have the
done.
skills to deal with it because you've never
Right.
had to. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And yeah, and then it's paralysis, in that aspect. But what I'm getting at is that, we're all human. We all have our flaws, we all have our experiences and stuff like that, and none of us are the same. And so this this since January, I have to honestly say, since January, like I've been really struggling because I've gone through like some crazy losses this year, not like
Yes.
death, but
Yes.
like what I thought a relationship was with family members, what I
Yeah.
thought was a relationship with, people that I work with, what I believed to be isn't. And
Yeah.
so for that for me is a hard loss, almost worse than losing somebody, because you still have to be with them and talk to them and have that relationship with them, but know that their intentions aren't the same
Yeah.
anymore. And so you have to maintain and act like everything is fine, but at the end of the day, like the person that's making sure everything is fine and is the one that's suffering, and beating ourselves up and doing all of those things. Um, but over the last several months, it's become very apparent to me that I needed more. I needed more to help me, because I found myself feeling depressed. I've never felt depressed before.
Yeah.
I've never felt that before. And the anxiety that I have had over the last year and a half has like elevated to crazy levels, so
Yeah.
now I'm having panic attacks. Never had panic attacks before. And so like all of this stuff has been like compiling, and finally after doing a lot of thinking and doing a lot of nothing, like some of those times where it's just like I don't have the energy to do
Yep.
anything. And this is so foreign to me because I've never
Absolutely.
ever experienced depression before, any of that. So it was like scary, because I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, why don't I want to do anything? Like literally nothing. So
Well, and let me push a pause right there just to
yeah,
say, what a classic symptom of depression. I feel like it's probably the symptom that is most socialized, like people are most aware of. And yet, knowing everything you know, it's not like the first time you felt it, you were like, "Oh, depression, I should do something about this." The
right.
first time you beat yourself up, like, "What is my problem? Why am I?"
I
You know what I
didn't
mean?
recognize it. I
Yeah.
didn't recognize it until months into it. I
Yep.
didn't realize me not doing the normal things I would normally do is depression. I was just like, I don't feel like doing it today, or I
Yep.
don't feel like doing this. I mean, even to the point where I was maybe cooking once a week when I used to cook almost every night, like for the
Yeah.
kids and stuff like that. Like just really, and with all of that, I had some stuff going on at work, and obviously I can't talk about it, but that was like, now I'm starting to feel sick when I go to work. Now I'm starting to feel like hopeless,
Yeah.
and my responses are getting more like reactions, and
Yep.
like I'm changing as a person because of something.
Yeah.
What is that something? And so um I just decided I was going to take a big jump. I'm like, you know what, Jane, you're an adult. You know that there's a ton of mental health issues in your family. You know that some of your children suffer from some mental health issues. Like, why haven't you gone to see if maybe, just maybe, there's something that can be, worked on? What is it? Like,
Right.
why
Like,
do you
what's
have
at the
this
core of
depression
it?
right now? Why do you have, what's going on? And so I'm here to just share my story about I went and made an appointment with a psychiatrist. I was like, look, I'm going for the big guns. I'm not going to just go to my primary care physician and tell them about my problems and have them throw some medicine at me and hope that it works. I went to the source. Like I was just like, I'm not going to play around with this. We know that my mom has mental health issues, bad. Our dad obviously did. He had, I mean, bipolar is probably one of the main ones with him, with the impulse and everything else, but I'm not a doctor, right? So I'm like, I need to do this. I need to feel better. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of
Amen.
feeling, like I could see where people would commit suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think about that, but I was just like, I could see where people would do this if they kept this going.
How it could spiral from
Oh
where you
my
are
God,
to boom. Yeah.
so bad. And it's like this 30-foot pit that you're in, trying to crawl, like claw your way out of it. And so I did. I went to the appointment, and well, it was virtual, but he was very nice. And shout out to Dr. Niles. But he was very nice. But what I learned about myself during that 1 hour interview was, I have compounded PTSD. PTSD, we've talked about that. He's like, it's active, meaning active means that you're triggered by
To
things.
say you've been triggered. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've been triggered. He goes, it's active right now. Just by what you're telling me and stuff like that, it's active. On top of that, you have severe depression. At that moment, I still didn't think I was depressed until he told me, and
You were like, no, I don't.
I was like, no, no, I don't. But then as soon as we got off the phone, I'm starting to think, we start thinking, and I'm like, oh my God, I am totally depressed. But anyways, anxiety, which we already knew, and anxiety is new to me within the last year and a half. But then the topper, the kicker, the icing on the cake was ADHD. And I'm like,
Ah,
are you fucking kidding me right now? That too? And he was like, you have pretty severe ADHD. He goes, it's less about the attention deficit, but it's more about the hyperactivity. He's like, not sleeping, you know, talking a million miles a minute, just he goes, I can tell just by talking to you, you have ADHD. He was like, you're like, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
yeah.
So I'm 45 years old being diagnosed with what we see as a kid thing, and as we go on, we're learning more and more about ADHD and the small percentage of adults that it
Absolutely.
lingers in, because it's usually something kids grow out of.
Right.
But my brothers had ADD, not me. I was never diagnosed with it. I was just a
Because
girl.
you're a girl. We're
Yeah.
way quicker to diagnose boys than we are girls.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I've gone 45 years of my life having an issue that definitely affects me day to day and in
Right.
my adult life, and not knowing it. And so I was, I wasn't like mad, but I was just like, oh, okay, well, now I have something to go research. Now I have something to go look at. Now I have something to understand me better.
Now I
And
have something
now,
to get
like,
hyperactive about.
huh?
Now I have something to get hyperactive about.
Now I have something to focus on. No. No, but what it did was like opened up my mind
I
to,
bet.
okay, like what, all right, let's look at this. So I started doing research and I jumped down the ADHD rabbit hole and oh my God, I have ADHD so bad, you guys. Oh God. Some of the symptoms, multiple marriages. I'm like, you know what? That one killed me. I started
Wow.
laughing my ass off. Multiple marriages, and that's ADHD in women. And I'm like, oh my
That's so
God.
interesting.
Yes, it's so interesting. So, of course, I'm looking at all of this stuff now, but I'm saying all of this to,
So, for future reference, you are not allowed to engage in any kind of marital relationship unless I have approved it.
and no, we're not
Because
doing
I can check your ADHD status at that time and say, hold on,
that.
girl, is it your heart or is it,
I am not getting married again. Let's just paint
well,
that
we've kind of
right
both
now.
agreed, right? Like, yeah, at this point in your life, not even just you. I mean, I'm in a loving relationship. I don't if it's the ending, but Joe and I have actually both joked about this. Like, this is it. Like, if this doesn't work, nothing will ever work. So
Yeah,
just leave that button alone.
yeah,
No need to touch
exactly.
that button again.
No, but I was just laughing out loud when I was reading through the different symptoms of ADHD in adults
Wow.
and in women. And when I saw multiple marriages, I was like, see, it's not me.
Yeah, that's right. It's not my fault. Everybody, it's not my fault. In fact, they don't count. They don't count anymore. We're erasing them. That's how that goes.
They never happened.
So
No,
let me ask you this though. I'm curious, and maybe this is for a future conversation. Maybe you haven't gotten this far because literally this is all still relatively new information for you.
yeah, a couple
But
of
I'm
weeks ago.
curious about like what happens at the intersection of ADHD and anxiety and severe depression
Well,
and the
here's the thing.
post-traumatic being triggered. Like what happens at the
Right.
intersection of
So
that?
so we talked about that. He was like, you
Okay.
have, and so he's like, what medications are you on? And a year and a half ago, my primary care physician gave me Lexapro.
I
And
remember.
yeah,
Yep.
right. So I'm on Lexapro. And he was like, what's the milligrams? And I was like, it was 5, now it's 10, I think. And he was like, okay. He goes, what are you taking for anxiety? I said, that's what I am taking for anxiety. He goes, no, that's an antidepressant.
Yep. I'm familiar with that one. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And he goes, that's not helping with anxiety. And I go, well, that's why I'm here.
Well, no shit.
Because primary care physicians, granted, they're great doctors and all that stuff, but they
They
don't
are.
specialize in mental health issues. And the
Exactly.
thing about a psychiatrist is that they know all of the chemical balances in the body. They're chemists.
Exactly.
And so their job is to adjust and do all the medications for whatever you have going on. And they work with you. Like when you first start seeing one, you see them every 2 weeks. So they can make tweaks to your medication, find out how you're feeling, blah, blah, blah. And so like we have an appointment next week because we need to follow up and see how I'm
Yeah.
feeling, stuff like that. And I'm feeling a lot better. Like I've noticed okay, let's do this and let's do that. So it is working. But he was like, we need to bump that up. So he bumped that up and he goes, now here's an anxiety medication. He goes, I want you on this for the next couple of weeks. And then when we meet, then we'll start tackling the ADHD because
That's
what's
fair.
happening in my brain and in my body is the environment that I'm in currently, my work environment is interesting. I'll just say interesting right now.
Yeah.
And so it's very triggering to me because there's some PTSD in there that's getting triggered.
Sure.
So my reaction to it is anxiety. Instantly
Mm.
my body and and I'm really freaking focused on the aspect of I feel like my body is addicted to trauma. And because as soon
Mm.
as and there's a book written
Interesting.
about it, I'll have to look it up. But like I've been really like paying attention and our bodies are addicted to trauma. And so it's like I feel like my brain goes to I feel like I'm trapped in this body that only reacts to the friction and I can't get my normal self out because
Yeah.
all of that noise is going on.
Yeah.
And then the ADHD loses track and it's like, "Oh wait, you were doing this, but let's go do this and this feels better, so go
Yep.
do that." And
Yep.
and then being in an environment where you get pulled in 10 different directions, it's anxiety ridden because now you're like, "What was I doing? How am I doing it? Where am I going? What are we doing?" So it's it's a compilation of all things. And he did tell me, he was like, and I'm going to be straight up, like he was like, sounds like, if this stuff doesn't help, we need to talk about that job
Mm.
because that doesn't sound like a good environment for you anymore. And I said, no, it doesn't. So he was like, we got to talk about that too. So, it's I did it because I wanted to like, feel better
Yeah, of course.
and see where I could, because I need to work on me at always, we always do. But also, if you're in an environment where the people aren't willing to work on themselves or the environment, it's not you,
That's exactly
So
right.
I'm kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place right now, and I'm trying to figure that out. But doing this and taking care of my mental health has definitely helped me with navigating that
I bet.
because it was bad. I was
Yeah.
crying. I was having meltdowns at home, stuff like that, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Now that I have the help, and he was like, "Your antidepressant is like for a 12-year-old." He was like, we're bumping that up. We're doing this, we're doing that. So within a week, I was already starting to feel better. So,
Nice.
and getting the medication, the right dosages and stuff like that. So that's been really great. And next we'll tackle the ADHD and then we'll tackle environments. But a lot of things come into factor for that. And so the mental health and the suicide prevention and stuff like that, I just kind of wanted to trauma dump, but also like talk about it a little bit because it's like your environment can alter how you feel about yourself.
Amen.
All of that. And I have a fun fireside chat for October. I actually had an experience with a lady in a bank and it was crazy and
Okay.
um not crazy, but it was really cool. And but it's kind of spooky, so I want to keep it for
Oh, I love that. We'll do because last year we did that fireside chat for spooky
yeah.
stuff. So,
Yeah, so it wasn't
I
it's
love
not
that.
spooky, but it's more spiritual, but it was really
Yeah.
cool and
Yeah.
it was exactly what I needed to hear that in that moment. And so it was like a really cool moment. So we
You know
could
what
talk.
our audience is thinking right now? They're thinking the spookiest thing about that is that you had an interaction in a bank. Who the hell goes to a bank anymore?
Look, I needed to get a cashier's check. So, I needed
That's
a
going to be the
cashier's
scariest part
check.
of that story. People are going to be like, "What the? You're
Yeah,
in a
why?
bank? What?
Why'd you go in there? What did it look like?
What did
No,
it look
so
like? Do they still have
yeah,
lollipops? What happened?"
they had lollipops. It was great.
That is a good
Um,
reason to go to a bank, by the way. Everybody, don't forget the
everybody needs to
lollipops.
go to your bank and get a lollipop.
Get a freaking lollipop, man.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so first off, proud of you
Thank
for taking care of yourself, and for seeking answers outside of yourself, because the scary part is I feel like we both know so many people who get into that space that you were in and they can't even see, like they can't even think rationally enough to think I need to go see somebody, right? So the fact that
Right.
you did that is so significant, right? And I think that, what I hope our listeners take away from that is like, if any of the things that you've described, any of the feelings, any of the experiences feel familiar at all, there is literally no downside to just going one time to a
Yeah.
psychologist, one time, right? And then you can decide if it was helpful and, if you need to go any further. You don't have to commit to a lifetime of therapy by going one time.
Right.
Um,
And
and
he does talk therapy, which
yeah.
is really great. He's a younger guy. He's probably in his late 20s. He's old enough to be my kid.
Oh my
Or he's
gosh.
young enough to
Love
be
it.
my kid. But he was very sweet and he just had like this very, he would just had a very neutral demeanor but he was funny too. Like he was like, "Do you ever cut people off when you're talking?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Blah, 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 blah. And
Before he could finish
like,
the
"Of course
sentence.
I do."
Well, and I mean, again, all of those like indicators, if you will, right, of the different things that you're experiencing. I think I'm going to speak to our women listeners out there, especially. It's not just women, but oftentimes women, people who are in the primary caretaker role, whatever your gender,
Mhm.
right? But there's such a culture right now around you're supposed to feel tired. That's normal. You're supposed to feel this. That's
You're
normal.
supposed to feel stressed.
I saw a great post recently about like, how about we change the wine culture around momming right now? Because so much of it is about, oh, mama, you've done such a good job. You've had such a hard week. Have some wine. And like, what if we didn't say alcohol was a reward
Yeah, go
for
get a massage.
what if we, well, but also, but the deeper thing about it was, what if we actually changed the system that is putting all of this on mothers, right? What if
Right.
we actually changed how we operate so that mothers aren't the ones who constantly walk around feeling that way and assume it's either normal, so I'm just going to power through, or I must suck because I'm not doing it all and have a smile on my face and feel great and feel, you know what I mean? Like are putting on that perfect exterior, if you will. So
Yeah.
I think that, I think especially, if you're in that primary caretaker role, like you and I both have been for our whole lives, from as young as
Pretty
we can
much.
remember,
Yeah,
we
young
just
age.
assumed this is how I'm supposed to feel, right? And don't get me wrong, yes, in some cases you're just if it's a bad day, then maybe you just had a bad day and you're tired,
Totally.
but it's the recurring pattern. You being able to look back over months and go, I've literally only been cooking dinner like once a week. I love to cook. What is
No,
up with that?
literally, like patterns changed, and I
Yes.
didn't even realize. Like
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday was like, boom, we're recording, we're doing this, we're doing that, and
Yep.
like your travel schedule and everything else, and
Yeah.
then just trying to get other things done. Like my capacity level was just nil.
That's
Like
it.
physically, like I mean, what I mean, I'm still like struggling with it a little bit. Like yesterday, I spent all day in bed, but I was
Yeah.
exhausted. Like I had a
Yeah.
really busy week. I've been doing physical labor at work all week and stuff. So I was like, I'm not doing shit today.
Yeah.
But today, I'm getting up at a normal time and everything. But a month ago, I'd still be in bed,
Yeah.
like literally. And then like, okay, like let's go record or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I'm actually like excited about stuff again. I wasn't excited about anything. I wasn't excited about anything, like
Yeah.
just nothing. But I also felt hopeless,
Yeah.
from the environment that I was in, the things that I was dealing with, the things I'm still dealing with. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure all of that out. But what I do know now is that I have some things that I need to manage.
Yeah.
And if they're not managed, nothing else is going to happen.
There
And
you go.
so I have to focus on that. And that's my
Yep.
main focus right now. So if it doesn't feel good to me, if I'm being pushed too far, boundaries are set. And that's a bigger thing. So now I'm dealing
Amen.
with new boundaries that I've never had before because I've always just been that yes person. And that's another symptom of ADHD. We just want to say
Yeah.
yes. Like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll, blah, 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 I'll do it." And I'm really good at doing it. I'm really good at getting it whatever done.
Yeah.
But when the depression's in there and the ADHD is still saying yes, 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 but then the depression's like, "Bitch, please, you are not going to do this. You think you're going to do it, but you're not. I am keeping your ass
Right.
in bed. You are going to have zero motivation. You're just going to want to watch The Voice or something. That's what I know what you're going to want to do." And and so then I have this internal struggle, So all of that being said, is take care of yourselves. Be curious about you. That was I lead with curiosity, and that's kind of just the energy I live in. I know that when I was depressed, I wasn't feeling like a victim or anything. I never went to that mentality. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand why my oomph was gone. But after finding out those things, I have a whole new, like, almost lease on life in the aspect of, like, so many of the things that I've been through or how I handled certain things and stuff like that. I now have answers to that because I thought
Yeah.
that it was just like, I don't know why I did that, but it just, it turned out however, but now I understand.
Yeah.
So having a deeper understanding of yourself and how you move and how your brain functions is so empowering
That's right.
in the aspect of, now I know I'm not crazy, because I literally had a couple of moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I feel like that. Like,
Yeah.
what the ever living fuck, And so to know that I'm not crazy, we're all a little crazy. Crazy is relative, but, like, to know that that was just a symptom of something that I needed to handle was just so empowering, because I'm like, thank God, because this was crazy,
Yeah.
feeling that way. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So take care of yourselves and find out what's going on, because
Figure it out, like you said, right? It doesn't, there's no downside to talking to somebody at least one time. I will say this, as you were talking about, the kind of like ADHD was making you do this, but depression was like, bitch, please, etc. Okay. What popped into my head was the movie Inside Out.
oh my God, yeah.
And the more recent one that introduces the teen emotions, right?
Yeah.
Because I was watching parts of that with the kids while they were all here. And so I think there needs to be an adult version of that. Disney, Pixar, pay attention. And if you make this movie, we need credit. Where
Yeah.
it's that, right? It's in that head of like, oh, and how, because it's like, it's just so real, right? How they
Yes.
interact with each other in your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
No,
Inside Out,
literally,
the
like,
adult edition. I like it.
right. No, we should probably do the adult edition. We should just
So
make
we got to
out, like,
figure that out.
we can have Jaw. Hey Jaw, this is a shout out to you. We need an animated series of
We could get on
adult
that.
Inside Out.
That would be great. If we could just
Get
get
on
on
that.
that, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Now, I want to take a few minutes before we wrap up and extend, because we've done this before, and so I'll just add it in here that, you know, if you're experiencing it yourself, everything Jane just said is so pertinent to you. If you're not, but you recognize it in someone else, whether
That
it's a
too.
friend, whether it's a family member, whether it's your own child, those are really hard conversations to embark on. But being the person in somebody's world who just says, I am literally just checking in on you, right? Because this is what I see. And I know that this is a shift in you, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to describe it. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a change. I see this change in you and I'm checking in on you,
Yeah.
right?
It's so
And
important.
it's so important, right? Because sometimes, excuse me, it's that will make somebody, usually in the moment we're going to be like, no, 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 I'm fine, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, but you've planted a seed right
Yeah.
now for an adult. For a young person, and I was sharing with you before we clicked record that I was in Montana this past weekend with a big community group, and one of the young people in that group, when we talked about kind of the way the world has changed for young people. And this is a kid who, by most measures has had so much success. He's a national semifinal merit semifinalist, like all the things. And he said, the biggest thing plaguing myself and my friends right now is mental health. And he
Yeah.
said, and I know we're talking a lot about it, and that's really great, but I'm saying it out loud in this space to just say we can't talk enough about it. So, and that's, you started with, like, sometimes you everything's fine, right? Same thing. Like, you would look at this kid and think to yourself, he's got it all going on, he must be fine. But underneath it, right, is issues with perfectionism, probably some ADHD, like there's different stuff
Yep.
going on. And so, I think that teens are at such high risk because, when you're parenting teens, you're almost always doing it for the first time, right? And
Right.
so you just know the general kind of ideas out there around teens in terms of they sleep all the time, they have hormonal, emotional, waves of emotion, and those things are true, but sometimes they're also indicators of something that's more serious and deeper. And so paying attention to it and having that same conversation. I've seen these changes.
Yeah.
What's at the core of it? Should we
And
talk to somebody just to check in? Those kinds of
yeah,
things.
and your approach is 100%, because I had the experience of, I mean, the reason why that I pushed it is that, somebody that I work closely with was just like, you know, you're I'm more prickly, or whatever. And or I don't want to see negative reactions, because there were reactions to, and it's that PTSD trigger for sure, because it's like everything that those emotions and stuff like that are all attached to it. So it brings it back up.
Of
And that
course.
was and that was the point to me, like even before, because I was feeling a certain way, I was just like, I'm making this appointment. And in that conversation, I was like, look, I'm doing things for me to make sure that I'm being the best version of myself, but I can't be the only one making changes.
Amen.
So, and that's a big factor too, because whether it's a relationship, home, romantic, work, whatever, we can't take on all of, as women,
That's
or
right.
men, adult men, too, because we all go through the same stuff. And I wish that we would just really start looking at the world as humans,
I
because
know.
all humans,
Yep.
we all have these emotions and all of these things. And if we're not taking responsibility for ourselves, because I just needed to know. And the reason why I asked that we make this the topic of today's um, episode is that I work I work in South LA. I work in, mainly, I mean, most of my coworkers are either black or brown,
Yeah.
people of color. I am one of very few white people that work at my business. And in the black and brown culture, mental health is like, we don't have a problem. And they'll openly say, "Oh no, we don't do that. We don't go and see, we don't get therapy, we don't talk to a psychologist, we don't talk to a psychiatrist, we don't do that stuff because we're fine." But that's the culture. And I went to lunch with one of my good friends and colleagues on Friday, and we were talking about that. And she's Hispanic and or Latinx, and she was like, "But Jane, we don't do that." And I go, "I know."
I know.
She goes, "I do." She goes, "But in our culture," and I go, "I know, and we need to change that."
Yep.
So because just using me as an example, like, look, I'm a 45-year-old white woman that has been successful and done all the things that I need to do, and been courageous and everything else, but I still need that too, you
That's
know.
exactly right.
And so if this serves as anything, it's to talk to our audience, and most of our audience is black and brown,
That's very
which I
true.
love.
I love too.
So I
Yep.
love it. But here's to you guys, like, we're allies and friends and humans too, and we're just saying, like, please take care of yourselves. If anything, just find out, and then research online. That's what I did. I got off that appointment and I was like, ADHD in middle-aged women. I was like, oh my God.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, and the funny thing is that when we were kids, I remember going to like therapy, like occupational therapy with my older and younger brother because they had dyslexia. I had it too, but they never put me through any of this stuff, and like so there was things that they just skipped over me to get help, because I have dyslexia bad. Like math was always really hard for me because everything was backwards or upside down. So but so it's just weird. So let's
Yeah.
take control of that now.
That's
Let's,
right.
we're adults, we can do what we want. We have insurance for a reason. And most of the mental health stuff, you guys, is free.
Yeah.
It's now free. If you go into your insurance stuff, most of it is free. They're like,
Yeah.
here, we're going to happily send you somewhere, like,
Yep.
go do it. So use your resources. I mean, I'm going to start posting articles about this stuff, and
Good.
even doing short
Good.
videos about it, just because I'm
Good.
learning so much about it, and just get it out there. The ADHD part for sure, but also the depression and the anxiety.
Absolutely.
Like that stuff, it comes out of nowhere. And I actually coach people at work through anxiety now.
Yep.
When they're like, I have young, interns that come into a work environment that's just balls to the wall, and stuff comes up,
Yeah.
so anyways,
Well,
all
and
I can say is,
I
like, take
love
care of
that, and
yourself.
I love that you're extending, and I think that you've given everybody a lot to think about, and I think that I really appreciate you lifting up the idea that in a lot of spaces now these services are free, because from a community slash societal perspective, right, it is in our best interest to
Yeah.
take care of the mental health of the people in our communities. because it makes such a huge difference, right? It can either be
Yeah.
a huge financial drain because we don't get ahead of it, or it can be a huge asset overall because we did get ahead of it, right? And for a lot of people, a diagnosis of severe depression doesn't last forever, right? For a lot of
Right.
people, you take that medication, you get treatment for a while, et cetera, and eventually you don't need those things forever, right? And
Right.
if you do, that's fine too.
Sometimes. Yeah.
But it doesn't make it it doesn't mean that you will um well, I'll leave it at that, that everybody is unique and different.
sometimes, yeah, the dependency may be there, right? So, like I've been on antidepressants for a year and a half now, obviously the wrong dosage. So
Right.
yeah, I'm going to continue to take them because I'll tell you something, you guys. Uh, over the summer, my very baby dose of Lexapro, I was broke. I'm going way deep. I was broke, so I couldn't afford to pick up my prescription. That was the worst idea fucking ever.
Yeah.
I didn't take it for 3 weeks, and at that third week, my brain was like, bitch, if you don't get that medication, you're going to lose it. I had a complete meltdown at home, crying like a baby because I couldn't find something. Like I was like complete meltdown, like and I'm like, what the fuck is going? Oh, I haven't taken that medication for 3 weeks.
I will fucking wait till we
Never
get off this
again.
call to
Never
chastise you.
again.
Yeah.
No, never again. Like
Yeah.
it was just one of those survival things. Like it's like, okay, you know,
It's as important as food, right? It's not like,
yes.
yeah,
So to your point of maybe one day you could be off of it, some medications you just have to take forever because your body is now
absolutely.
dependent on it. So
Absolutely.
it was
Absolutely.
definitely a dependency thing. My body was like, oh, our happy pill is gone. It's very little, but our happy pill is gone. So
Well,
anyways,
because at the core of that is a chemical imbalance, right? It's
yes,
not right.
yes. And
And
that's exactly
and
it.
for some people it can be adjusted and
Right.
then that, but for a lot of people, no, you just take it forever because it's a
Yep.
chemical
So
imbalance.
here's what I'll say to that because I've learned a lot about this over and mind you, being in a relationship with somebody that has mental health issues, you learn a lot
Amen.
about them. And so a lot of that I learned from my past relationships, I was like, okay, like this would have annoyed the shit out of me. Why, okay, I'm seeing it now, right?
Funny how that works.
Yeah, but I will say this, like going and I'm gonna this will be the flag that I wave. Going to an actual psychiatrist is your best bet. They're not there to diagnose you with everything in the world. They really don't want to diagnose you with anything. They want to make sure, they're making sure you're okay, but they're also helping you understand yourself.
That's right.
And they are very good. Again, they're chemists. They're very good at making adjustments. So a lot of people, when they have bigger issues than me, like bipolar or whatever, they feel good. And then they go, well, I'm going to go off the medication because I feel good now. And then they
Oh
go
my gosh,
right
that's
back. And
classic.
that's like the worst thing to do. So, I'm just embracing it. I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to be on this $5 medication for the rest of my life, maybe. Okay, great. But once I get the ADHD figured out and stuff like that, I may not need that anymore,
Right.
So, but I'm letting him tell me what I need when it comes to that. I'm not the doctor. So that's another big thing is like go to a real psychiatrist that can really do these things for you and really make
Yeah.
the adjustments that you need. And the crazy thing is like you can call them and go, I'm feeling this way and it's been like a week, and they'll go, let me adjust something, go pick it up later today.
Yeah.
And within a week or so, you're feeling better. That's their
Amazing.
job and that's their
Yeah.
expertise. So go to a real psychiatrist, go to somebody that's going to really understand the medications they're putting you on and the dosages and how your body's reacting to them. Because it's really about the relationship your body has with the medication to be able to move forward.
That's
So,
right. Well, I think that's all like, yeah, I love all of that. And I love the idea of understanding that it's a process. It's not a
yes,
magic wand. It's a
no.
process over time. And that's why that relationship with the professional is so important. Um, so yeah, thank you.
But I
Thank you
feel
for
like I
sharing
have
all that
somebody that
with us.
understands me now too. I've never
Amen.
had, like, I've been to therapy before, tested it out, and I never felt like they truly could help me,
Yeah.
because it was like one lady was trying to diagnose me with everything in her book because she was a new student. I'm like, bitch, please, like, we're not doing this here. And then another one I went and I saw her for about six things. She's like, you're fine, blah, blah, blah. You don't need me. And right, I'm a coach. I know how to get through things. But
Right.
when it came to the chemical aspect, I needed that help. And so
Yeah.
talking to him is like, and he does talk therapy too. So I'm like, I feel actually really comfortable talking to you about that too, because you understand
Good.
what's going on here. So now
Absolutely.
we're good.
Absolutely. All in
Yeah.
one place. I can see that. So, all right, folks, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like we've just finished or wrapped up Suicide Prevention Month. We know that it's something we have to attend to all the time. And at the core of that is really attending to our mental health. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
sister, for sharing all of that with all of us. And as always, like, share, subscribe, do all the things. You guys, we can't talk about mental health
No.
enough
And
for
we will
all ages.
continue. Yeah.
And especially at our ages, because I just don't think we focus on it at all,
We
right? So
don't. We
so
really
be sure
don't.
to share, especially. And next episode, we're going to return to our Reddit roulette, but we're going to focus on early childhood because we did have a
Yes.
reader, a listener write in about some guidance for parenting of newborns and younger ones. And so we're going to pick up on that next time. Peace out,
Yes.
everybody.
All right. Bye.